Jessica here with Down Dog Update. I am back with Jessie Thompson from the Yoga Loft in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Thanks for joining me again.
Yes, you're welcome.
We had so much fun talking about the studio the first time. We figured we're just going to keep going.
Talk some more. Sounds
so,
good.
Would you tell us a little bit more about the way that you structure your studio versus classes weekly and workshops? I know I was talking a little bit about coming to workshops at your studio, but what about like the regular classes and things like that?
Yeah, so one of the things we do, I guess there's two aspects. There's just when to put on a class and what kinds of classes to put on, you know, the day of the week, the time of the day, and all that stuff. And I think if you look around at many yoga studios, you see there's all these common times and so forth. And to set up a class schedule, obviously that, you know, accommodates people's work schedules and things. So the other thing that I try to do is to create a balanced schedule where if someone can come Monday morning at 9:30 a.m. To a level 1 or level 1-2, that I pair that with a Wednesday, you know, so the Monday and the Wednesday matches, the Tuesdays and the Thursdays tend to match and line up. And then I try to have something on a Saturday morning that is another option for that kind of student. So they could come Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. So if you set your schedule up that way, then you're sort of helping to facilitate that people can come to yoga more than once a week. And I think one important thing to keep in mind with the weekly classes is that you really want that to be your bread and butter. Okay. You don't want to have to be relying on even sort of your bigger items like teacher trainings, because you know that money comes in and then it doesn't come in for a while. You know, your special events, your workshops, those are, you know, those kind of one-off things. They're nice, you know, the day that they're happening, but then they're over. And I think you really got to build your weekly classes. You need your teachers to have consistent attendance themselves. You know, they need to be there. The students need to count on them being there. If there's lots of subbing and absenteeism and stuff, the class doesn't build. And I think a class has to build for like a year. You know, like you need that teacher commitment that they teach it in a consistent fashion, and that they're there. You know, they're there to teach the students, and you have those time slots set up in sort of a pattern that helps people get there more than once a week. Yeah.
And as far as teachers goes, how do you find those teachers that will be committed and stay, and how do you handle that aspect of it?
Yeah, I think one thing that's important to do is to either take that teacher's class or at least observe them teaching a class. Probably observing is a little bit better, in my opinion, than taking the class, so you can watch a little bit more sort of how they work with people. So I wouldn't hire anyone to teach unless you have seen them teach a class. And then, you know, that they share some values in their teaching method is well enough aligned with your teaching method. And you might have certain opinions about teaching yoga, whether or not you want music used in your classes, and you might be open to anything in that regard, or you might not. You know, it depends on your opinions about things. You know, here I like to have the teachers, you know, have that nice balance of teaching alignment along with their flow, so that I know the students are getting safe instruction. Yeah, so things like that.
Yeah. And along those lines, what would you say a few things that you would say make a quality yoga teacher?
I think a sort of a warm, friendly personality, you know, somebody that is really open with people, compassionate with people, and understands that you know, teaching yoga, a lot of people coming into yoga, they're sort of looking for that something extra that maybe other forms of physical activity might not provide. I think they're looking to like dig a little deeper in themselves. So there's that, and I think we find a lot of people coming into yoga after maybe some physical trauma or emotional trauma, or some upheaval in their lives where they're a little bit more in a sensitive place. And I think you want to have people that understand that and can kind of help people feel comfortable in the class in that regard. So a fair amount of sort of empathy and compassion is a really good quality to have. I think if the yoga is too hard and too harsh, you're going to lose all those people that are needing it to be a friendlier environment and a little more sensitive. And then I think that understanding of anatomy and alignment is key. Their ability to verbally instruct clearly, their ability to guide people, to really hold the class, keep the students with them. I hate to use the word take control of the classroom, but in a sense, if you're going to be doing inversions and more complicated postures where the risk factors get higher, the teacher needs to be confident and sort of in control of the classroom in that sense and guiding people clearly.
Interesting. And you guys have teacher training here at your studio. Do you find that you're hiring people that go through your teacher training, or?
We mostly are, and that it's kind of always been that way. There's a smaller handful of people, and those are the people that I would say have been with us longer, that didn't train here, but they trained at a place that I knew of, and I had a sense of the kind of training they received and the people that trained them, sort of where they were coming from, what their method was about. And then I also watched them teach a class.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And what would you say for someone who wants to do a teacher training? What would they look for in a teacher training, like maybe what you guys do at your teacher training that you want to, as someone who wants to become a teacher, like what is important? Because there's so many teacher trainings.
I know, I know. And like the funny thing about how I ended up in my teacher training program, I was in LA and there were a fair amount of yoga schools there at the time. And I did the training that had the nicest brochure because I didn't really know all the different schools, and that's like a really stupid reason, but that's what people do, I think, partly. So that's just a little marketing tip.
Yeah, marketing.
But I got lucky because I really think I ended up in the best possible of places. I'm so grateful it worked out that way. But I think better advice is to take a class with the people that are teaching the training and see if you like those people and see if you like the way they teach and the kinds of things they say and the way they deal with their students, the feeling in the room. And I think you should look for a certain level of sophistication in the sense of it, like you get a sense that they have a depth of knowledge and that they've been at it for some time, that they're well-rounded in sort of the realm of yoga, which is so broad, that they have a good foundation in the yoga philosophy, that's informing the way that they teach, anatomy and alignment and all of that, how to sequence a class that makes sense, that the arc of the class makes sense, that, the way they've ordered the postures makes sense anatomically, and things like that. So I think it's really good to shop around.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you very much for the information. I appreciate it. And then if you guys want to check out their teacher training, come to the Yoga Loft of Bethlehem.com.
Right.
It's the website. You can check out more information and talk to Jessie if you want to reach out. So thanks so much.
Thanks,
you.
Jessica.
Bye.
Bye.